is just tell us a little bit about what you talked about this morning in regards to and the importance of acknowledgement.
Yeah, thank you. It was so fun to be a part of this room. I grew up in a small town and in this beef industry, and we really talked a lot today about what it means to get back to the things we know to be true, which is connection. And we are so, I think in the history of our lifetimes, we've never been this disconnected. And so we talked a little bit about why that is and how we got here. But the answer to it all is really around acknowledgement, because when you're acknowledged, you rise.
How much of that power is there? Like you talked a little bit about that this morning, that you rise sort of thing, and you gave some great examples in regards to just how much it can buoy a person up.
Yeah, I think that, we think that sometimes this problem is just too big, that we're not going to be able to sort of get it right. And so we just shut down or stay connected to ourselves. But the issue is, you give somebody a compliment at the hockey rink, or you drive by, we're famous sometimes for our farmer waves with, just the one finger off the steering wheel. But I think that sometimes now we are so worried about, how we are showing up in the world that we forget our biggest thing is to just look and see other people. And these days, I think it's so critically important. You can't just by showing up for other people, you might not only change a life in a day, you could save one. And we talked a lot about the mental health sort of experience in our country more than anything right now. And we're in the middle of a crisis because we've never been this disconnected.
What challenges are unique to agriculture when it comes to connection and acknowledgement?
Yeah, I think, what's particularly true is, just 2 generations ago, we lived in smaller houses. We worked in small farming operations, which meant we spent a lot of time with each other. The square footage of our houses increased exponentially in terms of the time that, even our grandparents were growing up. And I think what hasn't increased is our ability to look and see each other, our emotional language to be able to have conversations, which now becomes more and more necessary because we would play, my grandparents played 3 games of crib every night. And now, we barely sit to have dinner together. And there's a cost to that. And so when somebody would come to, a bull sale or a conversation anywhere else, you had spent time, or you'd ate breakfast together, you'd have your heart filled up, you'd done all of those kind of things, and so you were ready to work or do the things. Now, we typically step into a lot of things with our proverbial bucket empty, and you cannot give the best parts of yourself if you're empty. You're much more internally focused, and so how do we just on purpose know that part of our job is to do the handshake with the look in the eye? Even the nod is all we need. How do we sort of look and see, and you're going to get the best out of, not only the people you work with or you lead, but those you love.
How about the people you don't know, sort of thing? You had a couple of action items for people when it comes to when you're passing someone on the road, sort of thing, or if you're just see someone as you're passing by, sort of thing. What are those action items?
Yeah, you basically become like a mobile mental health unit in your community. If you wave like you're drunk at every stop line or stop sign, and in our small towns we do this just almost out of habit. But I think oftentimes when I go to a bigger center or I go into the city that I stop doing that. And, the question is sort of why? Because everybody needs it somewhere. And so just little things about, you give a compliment once a day, even it's, a nice shirt, or, I think your kid's pretty amazing. Whatever that is, really is the answer to it all.
What's the inspiration for your work?
Oh my goodness. I grew up in a small town. And I often talk about in the first book, I attribute so much to my understanding about relationship and connection to my hockey coach and my teachers, and that I was really seen. I felt seen in that little community. And as annoying as it was that everybody knew everything about me, I think it was the rural roots that really served to be able to allow me to do this work today. And so I just want to make sure every day that I get up that other people have that opportunity. And so starting on third base, I'm very privileged. The ability for me to be able to talk about it for the rest of my days is truly an honor.
What a great phrase, rural roots, especially since you're on Rural Roots Canada right now. When you speak, as you mentioned in your speech this morning, sort of thing, what is it about a crowd like this that buoys you and keeps you going?
Oh my goodness. You know what? The heart and soul that was in that room today is really so familiar to me because, it's like we weren't wired for the joy. We were wired really, particularly in agriculture, to look for all the things that are going to go wrong before you find the things that it's too wet, it's too dry, holy, this is, falling apart. You don't either get anybody to be like, you know what, Ethel, let's buy the dually. It's going to be a good year. And we don't really find the joy enough. And so what I loved in here today was really, I love making people laugh, and it's really hard to talk about mental health and trauma and make people laugh. And so it is something that I love in a room full of such tender souls that really truly want to be seen. When you start to laugh and watch their shoulders drop, I mean, it is the thing that reminds me about the holiness of this work, and I love it.
Jody, anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you?
I just think, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, but I think, do not underestimate your power today to look at somebody, to give them a wave. I think what we need is you and me doing the next best right kind thing.